Welcome to Phoenix, to the Sonoran Desert, and those saguaro cactus and this beautiful speedway. We are with you on a rare Friday at Phoenix Raceway. Somewhat unprecedented, but this is going to be 50 minutes of NASCAR Cup Series practice because NASCAR has a new aerodynamic package for the short tracks. Shorter spoiler, less strakes underneath, less downforce, and rather than just have the two A and B 20-minute practice sessions on Saturday before qualifying, NASCAR wisely decided this 50-minute session would give teams and drivers a great opportunity to see what this package is all about. So Phoenix and COTA in Austin, Texas, we're going to see this Friday practice session. We're happy to bring it to you here on the Fox Sports Networks. Mike Joy, Danica Patrick, Clint Boyer. We don't know what to expect, do we?
Well, the thought process behind it is this. Whoa, we're going to try to put this thing back in the driver's hands, make these cars a little bit harder to drive, taking 30% of the downforce away from those things. That's just less grip on those tires. The smaller spoiler, that's less drag. They're going to go down the straightaways faster. Danica, probably more brakes.
Probably more brakes. We were having the debate before we came on. Where are they going to be more loose, into 1, into 3? But, you know, definitely going to be using the brakes a lot more. That's going to heat things up. You're going to have to overcompensate with the other end, which is going to heat that up. I think the cars are going to be not only sliding around more from the less downforce, but also from the compromises that they're going to have to make to get down to speed and to get the car to turn.
I think the other important thing is this is an attempt, right? We don't know how much, and that's why they opted to have this very practice session. 50 minutes lets these teams go out, make sure that their simulation is jiving with the racetrack and what the driver is talking about, making sure those conversations are together. You know, when you go back and you look at sim, you have to know that those numbers are matching what they're seeing out there on the racetrack. So this 50-minute session is pretty important for these teams.
Well, let's get more from Regan Smith.
Well, Mike, I figured let's go directly to one of the guys that's going to have to deal with all these question marks that we're about to see with this practice session. Blake Harris, Alex Bowman's crew chief. You guys have been great to start the year, but now new rules. How difficult do you think these rules are going to be on the cars today?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a completely different package. You know, they had 4 or 5 teams here when it was 40 degrees cooler earlier in the season. So little testing, smaller packs. We come today, it'll be a little bit cool tonight, super slick tomorrow, low downforce. So just expect them sliding around, driving bad, and we got to figure out how to get that better.
Good luck, Blake. Thanks.
Thanks, Regan. So we expect the cars are going to be harder to drive, but how will they grip? How will they corner? How will they go down the straightaway?
Got to find a track first.
Yeah, we got a lot to learn here in these next 50 minutes.
Look like a bunch of idiots down here is what it is. What a disaster.
Yeah, the driver's briefing did not include a map of how to get on the track from the garage.
Hey,
right?
Drivers are monkey see, monkey do. That first guy goes the wrong way, we're all going the wrong way.
Well, now we're all going the right way.
We're not designed to drive around that area too much. We just drive around in circles. Come on.
Show me the racetrack. Looking forward to this. You know, NASCAR, the teams, they've all collaborated to come up with the, what they think is ideal.
Well, one of the ideas there.
One of the things right there, that's a windshield wiper. Yep.
Yeah, required on
right off the bat. Saw that, and both of us went, whoa, that's different.
And not only is it required, NASCAR now mandates it to be in the 12 o'clock position.
Yeah, a lot of different things you can do because of aero, moving that thing around. Look how big they are. You know, I remember when they first started allowing windshield wipers, all of a sudden they were just huge on the cars. I'm like, guys, what is that all about? Downforce, baby.
I was going to say speed.
Yeah.
Teams are always looking for that edge. What can they do? Where can they push it? What's the gray area?
You know, 180
and how big can I make a windshield wiper?
180 mile an hour, they need to be a little more stout than they do on your regular car running 80.
But NASCAR had a number of ideas on how to change the downforce package for the short tracks to improve the racing. And one idea was developing new parts. Joey Logano, a little slide there. But they settled on, let's remove some parts. Let's lower the spoiler. Let's remove some parts from the underbody. And let's try this.
Well, there it is right there. Look how short that spoiler is on the back of that car. You can see it is very, very short. on the back of the cars, and I'm telling you, that's going to take away downforce. There's no question about it.
One of the very popular ways to make the racing better for a long time has always led to take the downforce away, let the drivers have to drive the car instead of being flat out so often, and that making the racing better.
So taking downforce away, Larry Mack, our crew chief, how do we do that?
Well, let's just go to our Toyota cutaway car and we'll talk about it. Y'all talked about the rear spoiler. Remember, at Las Vegas and Fontana, that spoiler was 4 inches tall by 60 inches wide. Here at Phoenix, it's been reduced to 2 inches tall and 58 inches wide. A lot of rear downforce gone away, which affects the rear grip. But the underbody, Mike, you talked about it. The engine panel strakes, they've been removed. Back here on the rear diffuser, they've removed the 3 center diffuser strakes. That takes a lot of downforce away front and rear. The word is it's probably 30% less downforce than the old package. That's the least amount of downforce these Cup cars have had since the late 90s. The other thing it does, it closes the wake of air up closer, quicker behind the car. That should help cars in traffic.
Thanks, Larry.
I think that's a very good point right there, Larry. Talking about traffic, you're always so aero-tight behind cars here, Danica.
And these cars, this design of this car is more aero-tight than the old car that we drove, so anything that they can do to be able to get cars to be able to pull up closer to them is just going to make the racing better and lead to a little bit of bumping, maybe.
Oh, calling some shots here.
That's what we come here for, right?
Man, I tell you, restarts are so tricky here. It's tricky for a lot of reasons. One of those reasons is a spotter. You know, that eye in the sky for you, that protection insurance program telling you that car's outside, inside. Their vantage point from clear down here on the other end, looking off into turn 1, not very good, not very ideal at all.
So this 50-minute practice is all comers anytime, which is very different from the Saturday practice sessions when all the cars are divided into an A and a B group and they each get 20 minutes.
I mean, this is 2.5 times more practice than they get on any other weekend. So while it's only 50 minutes, it's multiples more than they normally get. So I feel like this is probably going to feel like quite a luxury. But really, this is, you know, with this new package, so much of the weekend falls on the engineers and being able to run the sim and execute travel and run the splitter all the way to the ground. So when they have such a big change like this, such a big percent of a change of downforce, you need to be able to have that opportunity to see how you can execute it.
Riding along with Kevin Harvick, seem hitting them gears. Downshifting, getting into the corner. Again, you know, we talked about the drag aspect of it, getting off into the corner faster. Downshifting, it's going to help aid that car slowing down where you don't have to use quite as much brake. And then when you slow it down that much in the center, she rips it back up off the corner, hitting them gears.
Look at the left side tires. Low air pressure to start. Wow.
How low can you go?
Teams are always pushing that. That's just grip right there.
Good time to push it. Let's get that out of the way at this test.
Larry?
Yeah, Mike, Clint, Danica, Goodyear recommends do not go lower than 14 PSI in the left side tires, but we know that's a conservative number, that they definitely go lower than that. But one thing about the balance, the front and rear downforce in this package right here, if you took a car like we raced it at Las Vegas last week and just removed those pieces we talked about on the underbody and the 2-inch shorter spoiler, it took off about 6% more rear. In other words, these cars should be a little bit freer or looser than the car at Las Vegas last week.
Okay, we'll watch for that. Kyle Busch headed out. One driver change this week. Zane Smith is in the 38 for Front Row Motorsports, and Todd Gilliland is driving the 15 for Rick Ware Racing.
Looking forward to seeing Zane drive that car. Good opportunity for him, truck champion. I think he's ready.
And Josh Berry is back in the 9. Hendrick Motorsports has announced that Josh Berry will drive all the oval races until Chase Elliott is able to be back in the car, and that Jordan Taylor, who is part of the Garage 56 Le Mans program for NASCAR and Hendrick Motorsports and a star in IMSA, Jordan Taylor will drive the road races in the number 9.
Both awesome opportunities. I'm looking forward to watching Jordan, but for Josh Berry, just showing up one race is very hard to do. Them giving him the opportunity to be in this thing week in and week out takes some of that pressure off that driver, enabling him to do his job.
Mechanical issues held him up last week. Let's see how he does here in Phoenix. 43 minutes to go in this Friday practice. March 3rd, 2013. That's the last time Kevin Harvick did not finish in the top 10 here.
Wow.
And look at how old some of these drivers were the last time that happened. Wow, Clint. Makes you feel old, doesn't it?
Well,
Makes
certainly
me
going to
old.
make Kevin feel old when he watches this back and sees that little.
As long as they don't put the year they're born, I don't feel too bad. You know, it's when they say like 96 that I feel really bad about myself.
How about that? Pretty good company there.
Most consecutive top 10s at one track in the history of NASCAR.
3 7-time champions and Kevin Harvick. Best in all 3 of them.
Pretty great company. He is 9th fastest right now. You're riding on board with Kyle Busch, who has only run 5 laps. Down toward the back end of page 2 on our leaderboard.
Larry, I'm kind of seeing, you know, picking up where we left off on a couple different conversations. Obviously, Larson, Bowman are fast with the Hendrick camp from last weekend. I think they're fine. Briscoe, 5th quick. He was fast last year at this racetrack. You know, Logano obviously won the race, won the championship in 4th there. Kind of standard practice here from what I'm seeing at top of the board wise anyway.
Well, the Ford, that was the big story I'm looking for coming into this race weekend, because if you look back last year, just look at the fall race. They had 4 inside the top 5. They won both races last year. They won both poles. And Mike, Clint, Danica, of the 624 laps we raced here last year, Ford led 558 of them, 89% of the laps.
Well, Larry, what I thought you were going to say, where's the Toyota? That is, again, something that we was missing last year. Is the Toyota boys didn't have the best of luck at this racetrack out here in Phoenix in the spring race or the fall race. You got to look clear down at 16th place before you pick up the first Toyota. The boys got work to do.
There's Tyler Reddick, 21st of the 36 drivers. Everybody's been out on track. Toyotas are 16, 17, 18, and 21. Austin Dillon, 15th fastest.
Starting to see some cars move up the track just a little bit. I think they were trying to get some of that ARCA rubber off, and maybe it's starting to move up the track a little bit. I saw, you know, the amazing Kevin Harvick here moving up the track a little bit in 3 and 4. So I wonder how that'll make the cars change, being able to get on some sort of clean track.
Well, it also makes me wonder if that's the case in general, Danica, or are these cars starting to slip and sliding around? They can't keep it on the bottom anymore.
Sure.
Are they going to need to widen this place out? You know, as these tires wear out because of the less downforce, might be the name of the game. You might see them clear up to the top in that resin in 3 and 4 especially.
So practice lap times here are running about half a second slower than what we saw in Cup practice 1 year ago.
Very valid point, Mike, and that you put that right on the downforce conversation we keep telling you about. I mean,
are you surprised it's not more?
Well, I didn't know. None of us knew. So as soon as we saw that, I think a half a second's a pretty good step.
Larry?
Yeah, what we're seeing, we went back and looked at data from practice 1 year ago to the data right now. It's not a bunch difference in 3 and 4, but in 1 and 2, they're off the throttle a full second more than they were a year ago. And I know at the test, the top end speed was about the same between the 2 packages, but the minimum speed, the low speed, was about 7 to 8 miles per hour slower.
Wow. Kyle Larson and Alex Bowman in Chevys, with Blaney, Logano, Briscoe in Fords. Those are the fast 5 in this Friday practice. So right here, you're getting inside Chase Briscoe's head. Well, at least his helmet. That's our driver's eye cam. And he is looking at how other drivers negotiate this racetrack as he waits for changes to be made to his Ford and go back out. Regan.
Oh, Mike, Kyle Busch sitting here in the garage in his race car right now. As he was coming in, though, very, very detailed comments to his team, trying to let them know what's going on. Take a listen.
Tight center, loose off. The center was getting a little bit better. Feels like a right rear camber thing, where it's just the tight center, it's just the right rear is so locked in through the middle of the corner. And then when it's time to go to the gas and go forward, a little bit of that right rear, outside right front looseness, just loose off. I can't finish throttle.
I can tell you guys that nearly every garage and every driver I've heard on the radio so far at the start of this practice, very, very similar comments to that. Tight center, loose off, loose in. Clint Danica, it makes me feel like I'm in a race car again saying those words.
That's right. And I think all of that's coming from that little blade on the back of there that we keep talking about. You know that that's taking less rear downforce off of these cars. Well, you got to balance that out somehow. I'm going to ask Larry. I assume, Larry, that you're probably, by doing that, you're going to put nose weight in the car. You're going to put wedge in the car, try to counter some of that downforce that's off the back of the cars. And when you do that, maybe you went too far, being a little bit too conservative, might start inching some of that back out to get the car through the middle.
Well, that's going to be the thing. Phoenix will always be Phoenix no matter what package, especially down there in turns 1 and 2. Getting that car to rotate and to turn, that's always a challenge. And normally when you fix that, that's when you start getting that loose off.
Never thought I'd see mud flaps on a Cup car. But
well, now wait a minute. There's a good reason for that.
Oh, I know it. But you see that is how low these cars are. It was literally dragging the ground, falling along with Keselowski there. You see another one on the back of Denny. It's crazy how the splash splash flap, I think is what they call them. When in the event of rain and water on that racetrack, it cuts that down considerably for these drivers.
Remember the first time we went to COTA and the rooster tails were so huge that drivers couldn't see a car right in front of them. So this package for short tracks and road courses includes rain lights, wipers, and yes, mud flaps.
And you see the lights on the back of there that you just talked about as well. It's still a mud flap, and it's pretty weird to see, but they are, man, I'm telling you, they work. Stacked up and wrecked a bunch of cars that day in COTA. Ever since then, all these drivers say, hey, man, I don't care what you put on the back of them. Those things work.
All right, Martin Truex is the second fastest Toyota. We listened in.
Okay, pitch no better, bring it to us. Same issues, Mom? Yeah, still more floppy there. Same issues. All right, copy.
Still more floppy. What's floppy?
Well, I would think with the front end, just, cars flopping around, maybe rolls over a little bit, need to probably buckle the shocks down a little bit more. All things probably, like I said, being conservative with not knowing what you have, trying to put some mechanical grip in these things because of the aero deficiency that you've created, maybe just went a little bit too far.
William Byron coming off last week's win, the 5th of his career.
Big win for him. I think that it's going to set a precedent. And look at the team. Look at Hendrick. All of them are fast again. William just keeps getting better. Every lap, every race, every year.
Well, he led more laps last week than everybody else combined.
Blows me away that kid literally got his driving career started on a computer simulated race. Unbelievable.
First race that his dad took him to, he was 6 years old. They went to Martinsville. Tony Stewart won. And he became a fan, started racing on the computer on iRacing, and, well, the rest is history.
I never thought that those words would be reality and you could actually say that. And I mean, he has proven that whole system and path correct.
Third straight year that he has won in the first 5 races of the season. You go on Twitter and you see people talking about their race last night, and the graphics are so good, you don't know if they were in a race car or if they were sitting in front of the computer.
Junior posted something the other day on North Wilkesboro, and I said, man, what was that you were showing? It was iRacing. I couldn't believe it. I've actually had people call when we were doing those, you know, when COVID first came out, and was calling, it's like, where are you guys racing? How did you pull that off? I won't say a certain country singer's name, but he was the guy that thought that was real.
We made something out of nothing, didn't we?
It's fun.
Back when I first started driving for Junior Motorsports, Tony Uri Jr. was like, you need to do iRacing and get practicing on these tracks. And he literally bought me the screen, the steering wheel, the pedals,
wow,
the whole thing. That collected dust in my office.
Eric Almirola rolling some strikes and spares. The like that one. Oh, come on. Tell me that's not CGI. Come on.
I'm a little jealous of this.
800 feet down the S's at Watkins Glen. No.
It's money.
How many practice rounds did he get to know that was where it was going to go?
Are you kidding me?
Power television, Danica.
That's incredible.
Of course, by then, I think the ball was going about 180 miles an hour down the hill.
I want to know what that ball, when he dropped it out the side window, did to the track.
Yeah. Those balls are 16 pounds. I mean, yeah.
Or I like sort of 8 or 10 pounds.
Well, okay, that's fine. That's good too. That works.
Chase Briscoe, his big win this last spring. I'm telling you, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. Keep an eye on that 14.
Tomorrow night, the USA's biggest stars lay it on the line as they take on Great Britain at the World Baseball Classic. That's tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern, on Fox and the Fox Sports app. Here at Phoenix Raceway, a 50-minute practice session for the NASCAR Cup Series, so teams and drivers can work with this new aerodynamic package. Kyle Larson has the fastest single lap. He and Ricky Stenhouse have run the most laps. There's Alex Bowman. He's third on the board behind Ryan Blaney. So it's Chevy Ford with Logano and Briscoe. And the fastest Toyota, Bubba Wallace, back in 16th. There's a look at your top 20 by manufacturer. And here's our crew chief, Larry Mack.
Okay, Clint Boyer, you gave me an assignment, and when you give me an assignment, we go to work here. So we talk about the difference in fall off from November's practice session to this practice. And it's kind of apples to apples because it's the same Goodyear tire combination. The big difference, obviously, is the downforce difference. So looking at Kevin Harvick in the 4, the run before this, he made a 24-lap run. We went back and looked at his 24-lap run from the November practice. In 24 laps, the fall off was 3/4 of a second more than it was in November with more downforce.
Quite a bit, buddy. It's exactly what the vision was. That's what the goal was going into this weekend. And I think they've hit the nail on the head here.
You know, as they slow down too, it becomes less aerodynamically dependent for the car behind, and that just makes for better racing. When the speeds come down, it adds so many more elements, more slowing, more braking, later to throttle, just more opportunity to be better and to be worse.
No, that's exactly right. That's a great point, and that is just what we're looking for. Because last year, the racing on the short tracks and on the road courses was not as good as it had been with the old car. On the other hand, the mile-and-a-half racing had been better. So NASCAR knew they had to adjust this package, and we're seeing the first fruits of that labor right here. Josh Berry in the number 9 for Hendrick Motorsports.
I noticed a little bit into 3 as well, like when I try to brake a little harder, like it's kind of like a weight transfer deal, like the car feels like it gets a little free getting in. Is that normal with these things?
Well, it's hard for me to say. I would say yes. It's freer on the brakes.
Well, the natural tendency with the weight transfer is just that. As you apply the brakes and let out of the gas, inertia is trying to take it from the rear and put it on the front. But that's what teams can do with sway bars, with shock combinations, wedge combinations. you can get that thing. You want to keep all four. I mean, obviously the optimum grip is all four tires having equal, pressure on them. That is not obtainable when you're going around this racetrack the speeds they are with the inertia and everything else.
Right, and if they are looser in, which is one of the things that you were talking about, Clint, that was probably going to happen, and we've heard that the drivers are tight in the middle and loose off. It all starts at the beginning of the corner. If you can't get your arc right into the corner, if you can't brake the way you want, if you can't pull the car down to the bottom of the track, you're not aimed right, and you get to the middle, and then you have to add a bunch of wheel, and that's when it gets tight. Now you have a bunch of wheel and you're trying to get the power down. Now you're asking too much of the rear tires and you're getting loose off. It all starts at the beginning of the corner.
A couple of drivers we'll catch up on when we come back. Toward the back of the running order, Byron Chastain and Kyle Busch. Wondering what's up with that. Coming into the weekend at Phoenix, Fox Bet has Joey Logano and Ryan Blaney as co-favorites, just ahead of Larson and Chastain, Bell and Busch, Hamlin, Truex, Byron, Harvick. There are your 10 favorites. How about some long shots? How about, Danica, Ricky Stenhouse, what is that, 250 to 1?
I don't understand how betting works, so help a sister out here. I don't bet
on this guy. That is a pretty good bet.
So what do I do? How much money do I put down? What do I win?
A $100 bet pays $2,000. 20 to 1 basically in the old odds system, but this is how all the sports books do it, is the plus how much you gain if you bet $100.
Give me $2,000 and I'll bet it for you.
Yes, sir.
Or 100
I'll let you know
cashews,
if you want.
Whatever. So that's the way it lines up.
I gave all my money to the fans. I gamble every week.
Never been much of an actual bettor. I think the most amount of bet money that I've put down in Vegas is, I think I've spent like $1,000.
So we asked about a couple of drivers going to break and what was going on. Here's Regan.
Well, Mike checked in with the 24 bunch, and the word from the team right now is that race car has been very tight since the start of practice. They're struggling to get the front end of that race car to work. They did just come in, though, about halfway through practice here now and put their second set of sticker tires on, made some adjustments to it to try and get William a little bit more happy with that race car. Of course, last week's winner looking to do that 2 in a row. A little bit of work to do right now, though.
Look at the difference those tires made. Pulls right back out there on them fresh tires. Feel good, man. Look at that thing hook the bottom. Briscoe's still out there on some old tires. That's going to show you. That's going to change the game on Sunday. I think it's going to make a big difference, or at least it will move the needle.
They're definitely moving up the track the longer the run that they do. You can see that. They're especially through 3 and 4 using that middle groove.
So, Larry, are we going to be talking fuel runs or tire runs come Sunday?
Boy, that is a $64 question, Mike. I sat down last night and watched the entire Phoenix race from a year ago. And obviously, stage 1 is a short stage. It's only 60 laps. You can run that entire stage easily. But where it gets tricky are those longer stages, 125 and 127. I don't know that anybody, fuel window with this package is going to be close to 100 laps. I don't know if I see anybody running 100 laps on these tires.
I don't know if anyone would really want to be out there at 80 and 90 laps with the less downforce, sliding around, fall off. That's a tough day, Clint, right? You're screaming for tires. You're hoping for a caution.
Larry holds me out there for 100 laps on Sunday. He better unplug the radio because he's going to get an earful.
And if you tell me you want 2 tires, I'm going to stand in front of it till we get all 4 on.
I think 2 tires won the race last week.
With about 600 more pounds of downforce, though. Right.
Man, but that's what's cool. You don't know. This opens up the door for so many different variables. It's going to be so interesting to tune into this race on Sunday through the stages, right through. If a green flag pit stop happens, when do you cut it in half? When do you make that? And then at the end, if that magic or that wild caution comes out like last week when Kyle Larson was clearly going to drive off into the sunset, that caution comes out, it will throw this race for a frenzy.
So let me ask you both, how do you conserve tires at a track like Phoenix. Can you conserve tires?
Well, it's going to be a lot harder without the downforce to rely on, but I mean, you just have to keep a pretty wheel. You really can't ask too much of the car at any one point. As soon as you start to shallow your entry to protect the back, now you're hurting yourself. As soon as you get to the middle and you stab the throttle to trying to get it to rotate, now the back end's gone. You just have to baby the car.
From my experience on this racetrack, really, if you know, Larry's asking me to conserve tires, I'm going to do that through the brakes. I'm going to try to float the car in the corner, take it easy on the brakes, not build a bunch of, you know, extra not needed temperature into the wheels through the brakes. I'm going to try to do that and help him through the brakes, keeping these tires a little cooler.
14 minutes to go in this rare Friday practice. One of our favorite tuning tools is the best consecutive lap average, 10, 15, 20, or 30, and Kyle Larson tops all those categories. Either Blaney or Harvick is in the second position on all of them. Joey Logano right up there, as well as now William Byron.
Certainly, if you're Kyle Larson, that's exactly what you want. You know, Cliff Daniels unloaded a very fast race car, probably not making very many adjustments at all, subtle if any. Everybody else, the thing you have to be careful of in an open practice like this, there's a lot of different you know, agendas out there, and they're going to hone in on it, and you're probably going to see a whole different practice again tomorrow.
Larry?
Yeah, Mike, going back to Kyle Larson, here's what he and Cliff Daniels did. They went out when practice started and ran 32 consecutive laps. What they've done here, they've made changes to the car and they put their second set of tires on, because he's went back down into the high 27-second bracket now with his 5.
Man, it looks like they're asking a lot out of that left rear tire. As you said, he went out there on low air pressure, even down on the apron right there. That thing is squatting, almost flat looking on the bottom. These teams are going to be pushing that. That's the grip. When you start talking about taking grip out of these cars, downforce, where are you going to find it? Well, I'm going to push as hard as I can on that air pressure. Somebody's going to go over the line. Probably as that race progresses, you get a little bit more confident, Man, maybe just another couple tenths. Poof. Sure wish I didn't do that.
Inside of Todd Gilliland, who is in the 15 this week.
47's been high down here, been a couple tenths on the pace time, still outside.
A.J. Allmendinger had that spin on the final lap last week, but he's up in the top dozen right now. Well, when we get to Coda in about a month, we're going to have Formula One stars joining in the NASCAR Cup Series.
That's right.
Which is pretty cool. Kimi Räikkönen, Jenson Button, world champion, going to be out there. Jordan Taylor, as we mentioned, from IMSA. Boy, the road course ringers are back.
Well, and I think you nailed it right there. They're back. You know, we used to have that when I first came to the Cup Series. It wasn't anything to look over and see, you know, a lot of ringers, if you will, in that race. But these, let me tell you, that's pretty stout ringer action right there. F1 champions, those guys. Jordan Taylor, I think he's going to impress people. He's been, I saw that he was down in Coda making some laps. He's going to be ready for that opportunity in that 9 car. I think he's going to shine. And he's funny, man. I'm telling you. I'm rooting for him just because I think the interview is going to be awesome.
He's excellent. His videos and his clips, if you don't follow him on social media, you're making a mistake, because he's excellent.
He's a
What is it, Randy Sandstorm? Rodney Sandstorm.
Is his alter ego, Jeff Gordon superfan with the Rainbow Warrior jacket and everything, and he plays it to the hilt. At Jordan 10, number 10 Taylor is his social media handle.
You're welcome, Jordan.
He's something else.
Mike Joy just literally landed you 5 million viewers right there. Followers, new followers, are Rodney Sandstorm. These guys are starting to battle. I think by now I want to get out there and I want to put my car in some situations. I want to put some dirty air on the nose of this thing. I want to see if that front end takes off. Am I too tight in the center? All those things that I was talking about by myself. What's it like in traffic? it's just going to be worse, right?
Yeah, it's traffic's always worse. It's always better by yourself. But at the end of the day, when you get these opportunities to be out there with everyone, because keep in mind that on Saturday when they go into their practice before qualifying, it's 20 minutes of split group. This is everybody, so this is as much traffic as you can hope for.
You can tell time's running out. About 3/4 of the field is out there right now.
Looks like a race.
Almost 25 cars.
And probably all on that second set of tires. Had a chance to go back and get me at least 10 laps for the end of this thing. Had a chance to make some adjustments, probably an air pressure adjustment. Give it one last stab here. Give it all you got. We want to try to collect as much data as we can. Go back to the hotel room tonight, get my engineers in that room, sort through all this.
So let's step away, take our final break in this practice session, and be back to finish it off. Four and a half minutes to go in this Friday practice session for the NASCAR Cup Series, testing out the new aerodynamic package at Phoenix. Kyle Larson has the fastest laps, and he leads every consecutive lap category. Corey LaJoie was kind of big on social media this week. There was speculation that maybe Hendrick Motorsports might give him a try at Chase Elliott's car. I don't know who started that rumor. It could have been Corey LaJoie. You just never know. Took me back to when Jimmy Means drove the Folgers car for Rick Hendrick in relief of Tim Richmond. And that rumor was pushed along by Carson Hocevar from the Truck Series, who posted, I have an interesting 7 announcement coming at 7 o'clock. And people thought, well, maybe he'd drive the 7 instead of LaJoie. It was about a number 7 Xfinity Series car.
You spent a lot of time on social media,
but to give some credence there, I mean, is Inspire Motorsports a satellite team of Hendrick Motorsports? Wouldn't they be willing to help out if the opportunity arose? You know what? That's trouble with rumors. You get to Friday and it's all buttoned up. Josh Berry's in the 9. He's going to be there for all the oval track races. Deserves that shot. He was lined up as the replacement or substitute driver by Hendrick Motorsports back in the off season, if they needed somebody. So
I will say this: 2 laps ago, he got moved by Christopher Bell down there when we started LaJoie's campaign there. Whoa! Look at that slip up. See, those are the things. Look at that car slipping and sliding around back there. That's LaJoie, isn't it?
Yeah, looking for more.
BJ McLeod.
BJ McLeod. Yep, running his 18th lap of this session. Kevin Harvick and Harrison Burton have now each run 57. Kyle Larson 56.
Well, Harv's pretty happy with his car. This outing here on the second set of tires, he got him some adjustments. Roddy Childers and company made some good adjustments. That thing's trending fast. Keep an eye on his 4 car this weekend.
What I see is how consistent he is. It's not even just like the angle of his lap chart as it goes along. It's the fact that it's so consistent, and that's just so indicative of his characteristic as a driver. He's smooth. He hits his marks. He makes very few mistakes, and that's showing up just even today on a practice day on the lap chart.
You never count him out here. Now, Ricky Stenhouse has been sitting for about 4 laps right there at the end of the pit road, where he's joined by Zane Smith.
And I think he just put tires on. He was the last person to get tires.
Waiting for the toaster to heat up, maybe.
The butter to melt.
That's it.
Those are stickers. Maybe might try to run a qualifying lap here.
I was going to say no. Those are
he could be looking for a gap.
Nah.
Yeah, no doubt. That's what they're doing. If they put him on this slate, I think he's trying to just get a mock qualifying run in.
Might go for a PR lap here. See if he goes to the top of the board.
Well, the muffin's ready now.
Need a clean lap.
I feel like track position is an important thing here at Phoenix, so it's maybe a good idea to get that, to get that 1 extra run in, to be able to see if you can, get a few more spots in qualifying.
Got some William Byron audio to play for you.
So there was definitely some good stuff in there. I felt like the car turned better at the start. It still doesn't quite finish the turn right before I get the throttle, which is a big problem because it snaps off. But we just got to get the back in the racetrack and work the rest of the setup around it.
Yeah, Larry. Get me tightened up in the corner, but I need to be freed up in the middle. You can fix that, right? That's a tough one to fix.
We're going to work on first things first. What is it doing first?
I'm loose, but I'm too tight in the center.
That's right. Start at the beginning of the corner because everything is a snowball from that.
But as William Byron was talking about there, the trickiest part is in the back of your mind in that race car, you have to be mindful of that. You know Larry's going to do that. You know the adjustments. You have to be very careful to give him very definitive communication and not let him go too far and take away too much out of your middle. Balancing that whole corner out, of course you got to fix the first part of the corner, getting into the corner. First and foremost, for sure. But do not communicate too much information, over-adjust, and take away from the rest of your corner.
You know, I felt like, I don't know what your opinion is, Clint, but I found that being tight here probably was the worst of the scenarios. You couldn't do anything. You couldn't do absolutely anything if you were tight. But if you're loose, you have some more options.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, you may have options, but what you don't have is time. The red and black flags are out, ending this 50-minute free-for-all practice session. Now, tomorrow, we will still have the usual 20 minutes of practice for the A and the B group, and then 2 rounds of qualifying.
Yeah, back to business as usual tomorrow, but short, quick 20 minutes practice sessions. They better figure out what they need to figure out. I think this old boy right here, he's pretty happy.
So of the top 10 individual fastest laps, which were all set in the first 3 laps of this practice, there's Frankie Muniz going to compete in the ARCA race coming up on FS2, 8 p.m. Eastern. So, Regan, what did we learn in 50 minutes?
Oh, Mike, let's ask one of the drivers, Kevin Harvick. 50 minutes of practice, haven't had that in a while. What'd you guys learn with your race car?
Well, I can drive it, so our Hunt Brothers Pizza Ford Mustang is manageable, and I think that's going to be the name of the game. They still push really bad behind each other, but the good news is they slide around so much that you've got options up and down the racetrack. So I like that, and having to manage the throttle pedal and the brake pedal and where you're at on the racetrack, at least that gives you some options. So the lap times slow down, and ours hung on pretty good. Looks silly with mud flaps and a windshield wiper on it, but other than that, everything's fine.
Thanks, Kevin.
Yeah, we've had that discussion. So tomorrow on FS1, Xfinity practice and qualifying 12:30 Eastern. Cup practice and qualifying at 2 p.m. Eastern. Race day at 3:30. The Xfinity Series race at 4:30 Eastern time. The Cup race is on Fox on Sunday. And coming up right here tonight on FS2, Best of Race Hub, and then the ARCA Menards Series race. Enjoy it.